Allergy 2014 Polo Volkswagen TDI Blue Motion. It's the 1.4 common rail diesel. So this is a 1.4 common rail TDI 3-cylinder engine. So I think it's probably one of the latest generations of diesels from Volkswagen range, and the customer concern is an overheat. And we took it for a wee run earlier on just to confirm that. We'll show that wee bit of footage here. The temperature gauge getting away above the 90 there, and okay, I need to slow this thing down here, pull it to a stop. So clearly overheat condition. Customer's concern is confirmed. Right, with the car back in to the garage, and just to show you guys, we've the live data up here, and let's see if we can get you on that. We're reading 78 degrees, 79, and our temperature gauge is dead vertical at 90. Now, these Volkswagen temperature gauges, that is what they do, that is normal. And so we've allowed the car to sit from our wee drive there, and we've cooled it down rightly. So I'm just using this wee handy OBD connector, if it'll focus for you on it. There we go. I'll just leave it down there. That's better. So just wee idling, it's raising quite quickly. So that was no more than a 10-minute drive. And once I started to drive up the hill there, the temperature just started going more than what I would like it to be. So I immediately pulled over and put it on the hot, put the fan on the full. There was warm air coming out, so that helped to cool it down. And then I turned the car around and went down the hill, and had it virtually, just sitting at idle. So I've brought it back in, and it's sitting at a sort of a decent temperature range that I'm a wee bit more comfortable with. So whenever I see temperatures going way high there, you sort of panic a wee bit, because obviously it's not my car, and you don't want to do any damage. You don't want to drive it in that state at all. If that goes over that, say to the 2 o'clock position, of that, they can really pull over, stop the car. But what I'm showing here, there it is, sitting dead vertical at 12 o'clock, which is 90. I'll just focus in on that a wee bit. And so that's it, sitting dead on 90 degrees, and the temperature is actually, well, it's getting close, 85. So okay, this wee Polo, this is a new breed of Polo from 2014 on. The system, so the cooling system and stuff like that, is pretty different. So I'll show you how you can identify that. So we're just going to knock this car off here and let her cool down. So we'll have a wee look in the boot here, and there's a big sticker just to the left of the spare wheel there. So we can see that this is a 6C1. So that's quite important. That's a Polo 1.4, that 55 kilowatts, and that is the engine code there, CUSA. Now that's the engine code. It's not a USA vehicle, it's a European vehicle. The engine code is CUS, and it's an A on it. Sometimes you get a B or whatever, but it's a CUS, and the LI7F is the gearbox. No, that's a paint and interior. The gearbox is PHB. So 6C1, this one is, the one before that's a 6R, or a 6R1, I think it is. And so the 6R and the 6C, a completely different cooling system, and they wouldn't have this CUSA engine. The CUSA only came in the 6C1. So that's quite important to note that. And you'll get that sticker in the left-hand side of the boot on any Volkswagen Audi group car. So we'll just have a wee look at this engine. I'll just show you these 3 cylinders. And there's our 3 injectors, 1, 2, 3. So I've let the engine stand for about 10 minutes, and well, the first couple of wee checks are dead easy, but you can overlook them. Well, clearly you want to make sure there's coolant in it for our overheat condition, and we're at the minimum mark there. And we'll just have a wee look at our wee tool here, and it's sitting at 67 degrees. So it's cooled down rightly. It's cooling down quite quickly actually. So the next one we want to do is very, very slowly and gingerly. We want to release this cap of pressure. And we can hear it releasing the pressure there. So nice and slow. So that also tests our radiator cap, just by doing that. So we can hear I heard a wee hiss there. Probably didn't come up on camera, but it wasn't that much because I've let it cool down rightly. So I'm just going to put this car on the ramp and pull the under tray off, let it cool down a wee bit further. A couple of other quick checks. We'll get a reading of the engine here. So there we go. 61.9 degrees. And I'm going to just put it on the top of the radiator, the top radiator hose here, and see it will have 23. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just touch feel the radiator, the top hose here, and see if it's cool. But I'm not putting my hands anywhere near the fan. So the top hose here is freezing. And if we give the top hose a bit of a squeeze, yeah, hopefully you can see that. There's coolant coming out of that overflow pipe, that top one there. So the reason why I'm doing that is these wee T pieces here on that return line, they are known to block. But this is a quite complicated cooling system in this newer sort of generation of diesel engines. And I'm going to share some information with you, and so here's some free information coming up. So here we go for the slideshow. That's remove and install thermostat R&R. So there's that bracket. That's EGR pipe, intake pipe. That is the wee flange that it goes into. There's the 2 wee fins on it there that have to locate at the bottom, and that's where it goes into. So not much to that really. Not much to fit in that. There's the specs. Starts to open the 87 plus minus 2, fully open the 102, and the wee pin travels 9 mil apparently. And this is the big one here. This is the complicated one. So this is the coolant schematic. So if I draw attention to some of these things here, that one there, anything number 5 is a non-return valve. So that's a non-return valve. That's a non-return valve. That's a non-return valve. That's a non-return valve, and so you can't blow into that pipe and see whether it's blocked or not because of all those non-return valves on. So that used to be a wee test that a lot of guys did to see if the pipes were blocked or not. The other thing is, yeah, that's auxiliary pump. So that's an electric water pump. That's an auxiliary pump, electric water pump. That's for the charger or the intercooler, the boost there. So that cools the intercooler. So the intercooler is cooled, and that one there is for the heater matrix. The idea of that then is it gets the coolant from the engine block and straight into the heater matrix. All that there's for is to get the car up the temperature as quickly as possible, and to try and control temperatures. So quite a complex system, and yeah, there's a wee bit to it there. So you just need to be aware that there's if you're testing for the main coolant pump, which is there, you have them electric pumps running as well. So what I ended up doing was I actually disconnected those two from under the car. So I just disconnected the electric connectors and made sure they weren't running, and made sure that I had flow then into the expansion tank with the car up the temperature. And of course, please don't ask me to supply this information for you. You'll maybe find this stuff on the internet, but this is Volkswagen dealer level data, which isn't normally available. So the car's sitting about 1500 RPM, and it's sitting about 60 degrees, 60 odd degrees. So this is a test for the water pump, and they're not normally out loose. I already have that off. So we can see a flow on the return there. So if I give it a wee bit more revs, it'll spurt out a wee bit more. But that's telling me the water pump is okay in this thing. So, okay, so with the heater in the inside of the car heating, that means that it's being circulated through the heater matrix. And with that test there, that also tests my, the return pipe. So we know the return pipe is good from squeezing the top hose, but that's telling me this water pump's fine. So car needs a thermostat. I'll just put that back on again. That's flow and rail there. Just to show you from underneath, that's the auxiliary pump there, and that's another auxiliary pump, but you can clearly see that is the cooler for the intercooler. So the intercooler has a cooler, and that's the two pumps there. So they're quite easily identifiable, and it's a wee bit shaky there, but you get the idea. So I've made a wee start here. The air filter box is now removed, so it just lifts up and take it off that hose pipe there, intake pipe. So there's a bit of bracketry here. Let me remove that, and if we get you down in, we need to remove this intake pipe. And the thermostat is there, up below there. So that sort of round looking thing. So it's over to the right hand side of the engine here, and so there's your oil filter cap. That's the engine block finishing there. So it's over towards the right hand side, whereas the earlier most Volkswagen engines, it was over towards the left. It was behind the alternator. It was behind all this sort of carry on. So there is still a flange in there where all the pipes all connect together, and but this one here, we shouldn't need to touch any of them. So it's in behind that EGR pipe. So that pipe off, that's a bit of bracketry. So just a wee bit of stripping. Okay, a wee bit further on, and we can see it a wee bit better now. So that's where our thermostat lives in here, and with that loom just unclipped from the dipstick tube. Same here. We'll have knock sensor disconnected, intake pipe onto that air intake flap there, and you see that's cooled as well. There's a big cooler as well there. So it's quite complex cooling system this. So yeah, you can get out pretty well. So we have a catch can underneath at the minute. So the car's raised slightly on the lift. So we'll get this housing off here. We'll take a look at this. So we'll have our housing off, and we see a little bow looking at us here, poking through. Hose off clearly, and a couple of torque screws either side, and we'll have this strange looking contraption in here. So just when we pull it out, we'll just take a wee note of the orientation, because it does only go in one way, but there's two wee tabs, and then there's a sort of tab missing at the top, which goes to the top, and those wee tabs seat inside here in the two wee recesses. So you need to sort of feel it to get it back in again, which it's not going to do, and well, it doesn't really matter, but with that sort of gap up there, and there we go. So that's the way that seats. Now this is a rare looking thermostat, which Volkswagen has come up with, And what we can see is we'll have that outer spring, and that spring compresses like that. But I don't think that's the, I could be wrong, but I don't think that's the thing that opens it. Well, maybe it is, because that center pin thing, let's bring it over here. So it resides in that hole in the middle of the flange, and then that sort of butts up, and that bit there is rubber, so that seals in there, you know. So it's quite an elaborate looking thing, and there's a sort of bit of copper in the middle of it there, which I assume, you know, is the thing that expands, and maybe that pin pushes out and unseats that. That's the way it must work. And then the spring is just there to seal it up again. And oh, this has just come out of its recess. There we go. So yeah, a rare looking thing. So that's the one that came out of the car, and this is a Volkswagen genuine part. And honestly, guys, don't even think about putting an aftermarket one on these in. So there we go. It's clearly the same thing, like, and you get a new O-ring with it. So that's grand. So it's a gift to fit this, you know. This is a 20-minute job, like, really. And yeah, so I reckon this was stuck closed. This wasn't opening at all. So if we throw this into a panel boring motor or something, there's no real point in testing this, because it probably won't do anything. So it's not really that expensive, even a Volkswagen one here. You know, it's not too bad money wise. It's not like an electronic thermostat, you know, which are, some of them are like £100, maybe even more than that. And some of the ones that have the you know, the housings that come with them can be quite expensive. So this is just an insert, as you can see, and of course it's a genuine part. So yeah, I have a thermostat here. I done a thermostat job the other day, so I'll just show you. This is out of a what's this out of? This is out of a Nissan, I think. So big housing and all that in there. So it's your traditional style thermostat there. Opens at 89, as it says. So they're a lot more expensive. Now, these type of things, now, you know, I do recommend genuine for these all the time. I have seen aftermarket ones, and these wee tabs break. The plastics, you know, don't last, can't stick the heat. So they break, and then they stay open, and these tabs come away, and all that sort of nonsense. So this is the one out of a Nissan that was opening too quick, or it actually is open. So it was taking doggies for the car to heat up. So that's one I did the other week there, which I didn't film, because I don't film everything I do. So we're going to stick this in again and get her buttoned up. So I don't think there's really much more to say about that. Okay, she's all back there again, and we'll have our fill funnel there. So whenever it gets up to temperature, it's sitting about 70 degrees at the minute. It gets a wee bit more temperature on it. We'll run the heater and make sure the heater is on full hot, and we'll select a couple of fan speeds. So I don't know if you maybe notice or not, but these 3-cylinder engines, they vibrate a bit, because ignore that airbox, but I think they're just 1 cylinder short of an engine. Right, I think that's cooked enough. So Yeah, the pin does indeed come out of it there. Yeah. Well, I think this is the problem. So the pin's out, and we're going to just push it in. Dead easy. Doesn't take an awful lot to push that in. So still mighty warm there. So that's a pin pushed back in again. So yeah, it's a bit rubbish for such a vital component. I think it's pretty crap. Well, there we go. There's it's starting to behave itself now. The old temperature gauge there, the new. So yeah, we're gonna call that a fix. And yeah, complicated system on this on these Volkswagens nowadays. So yeah, you need to keep in mind the non-return valves, the additional pumps that could be running and could give you a false indication on your testing there. So we're just going up the same hill that we did before, right at the start of the video. So there you go. So maybe you got something out of that. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching as ever, and all the best, and bye bye.